Hey, today we're going to do a style I call Dazzling Drips.
Alright, so the question today is, who is Debbie Clausen?
Alright, let's run through the colors.
Red oxide, quin magenta, pearly red dark, cadmium yellow pigment, pearly orange, copper, Van Dyke brown, Indian yellow, cad yellow dark, primary yellow, phthalo green, quin blue, primary cyan, titanium white, Mars black.
Alright, today we're going to do a painting I call Dazzling Drips. We got our initial layers down. We got kind of this nice copper brown. It's very light at this point, so we're going to have to add that back in later. We have kind of this nice magenta. We have a really nice drip pattern in the middle here. We got the orange pretty prevalent through this with the magenta kind of contrasting. So we're going to add in some more complexity. We're going to have orange, so you can have the orange and brown on top of each other, kind of interlay there so you don't know where this begins and where that ends. As well as bring in some yellows for that nice kind of real contrast to what the layers we've seen so far in the painting. I think what we're going to do now is add here we got the nice dark chocolate brown at the bottom. We've added in there to kind of give a lot of texture there. And then we have this reds coming through, and it's really good drip pattern into the middle there.
Debbie Clausen's an artist friend of mine. We used to paint together in 4th Street Studios and then later in 4th Street Fine Art, which was the successor to that studio. She was there quite a long bit. I don't know if she was 6 or 7 years there at the first incarnation, and then she's currently at the other one, so that's like maybe 12 years together, maybe longer. And she had a really interesting start. She got married and she went to San Francisco State for business, so no intention of, art. And then she took a couple of classes in porcelain painting and she got really excited. And later she got into watercolor and oil painting. And originally she ran a wedding business with her husband, doing kind of wedding dresses. I think she did a little suits, but mostly wedding dresses. She ran that for quite a while, then she got out of the business. There was really trouble keeping the loose hands out of the drawer, so to say. And that was because it was a cash business. So back in the day, they didn't have credit cards, it wasn't very popular. So you had to take cash deposits, and so it was really hard to keep the employees in line and not be stealing from the business. So she just decided, I'm done with that. And she already had another house out, I think towards Sacramento in the hills, in the wine country out there. So she had her current house in the Bay Area and then went out there. So she was pretty well set, and she started to focus in on her painting. And originally she did kind of commission portraits of kids, but then what she found out is people were like, no, I want you to paint my dog, I want you to paint my dog. And so she got started painting dogs. So that really led to, hello doggy. There's a dog right over here, German Shepherd. And she started painting people's dogs, and that became very successful. She later got involved with the National Dog Show, so these really kind of really funny shows you see on TV with the pedigree dogs, and they jump through hoops and then they grade all the dogs and if they're purebred or mixed breed or whatever. And so she got intimately involved with that, and she does that pretty much every year. She started showing her artwork there, and that's a really good tie-in if you like to paint dogs or animals, is to do these really national shows where the judge dogs at the highest layer. These are very rich people, so you can kind of charge what you want. Another thing I learned from that was she found out there was an artist kind of copying her style at these shows, but charging even more money. And my advice to her was, if she's selling out and you're nationally known, why aren't you charging the same prices, right? She's like, oh, I don't want to charge that much. And I was like, man, you should really charge that much. Another indicator was she did a dog commission for the National Dog Show, and it was designed by committee, which is kind of a disaster. And she didn't really set up a contract in place, or the one she did didn't kind of outline the cost. And so what happens is they're like, oh, we'll do it for $200. And she's like, all right, that sounds okay, $200. She thought she'd be done in a week or so, and then they kept revising it. And over the months, this dragged out. I just told her, just pull the plug. This is ridiculous. You're putting way too much effort. And because she was a judge at the National Dog Show, she showed there, she had really close ties with these people, so she didn't want to pull the plug per se. But this really sucked all the creativity out of her. So it's kind of a horror story of what can go wrong in our commission. And I have a guide for that if you want to check that out on my tips section on my webpage about how to avoid that kind of scenario. The other thing you want to avoid too was undercharging for your work. So on her commissions per se, she's actually like several months behind on the commission. That's because the demand is overreaching the supply. So you really want to make sure, as demand starts stripping away your supply for arts, you want to kind of raise those prices slowly, not really drastically, but 5-10%, as you feel like you're outselling your supply. So that's kind of my recommendation on pricing, and that's Debbie Clausen. All right, we just finished the painting. Let's take a closer look. So this has this really nice kind of browns going to the orange with a little bit of red kind of coming through here with that yellow. And in this case, those drips look more red than brown in a lot of cases, which is formed by that purple dripping through the yellow, which makes it brown. Here you have this kind of red, kind of translucent color, which is really intense because we add that extra layer on there, and finalizing that kind of really dark copper brown bottom. So I think this is a really solid drip pattern in this case. You have a lot of subtle under drips. So if you look in there, there's a little bit more drips into the background, which is kind of nice. You got kind of this really nice orange on the top, a little bit of orange at the bottom. You have some areas which had some of that gesso on the earlier layers that was a little bit wet, so that's kind of brush stroke through, which gives it kind of an interesting effect after I've coated that with the final layer. So this kind of gives it that copper shimmering effect. But yeah, I think overall it's pretty good. It turned out really nice from the yellow to red, the copper rounds. Hopefully you guys like it. Give me a thumbs up. If you'd like to subscribe, you can subscribe below. And if you want to see the full account, check my Patreon account, and I'll see you in the next painting video. Thanks for watching, guys.